Floor, we are going to begin with the president's attempt to put out a big political fire with a few drops of ink. The president today signed an executive order today that will end the policy of separating children from parents who enter the country illegally.
We don't like to see families separated. At the same time, we don't want people coming into our country illegally. This takes care of the problem.
The so-called zero-tolerance crackdown on immigration will continue. Adults who commit a crime will be prosecuted, but the separations will end. We have reports from Washington, the border, and we're in El Salvador tonight. One of the country's people are fleeing in large numbers. First, Major Garrett is at the White House.
We're going to keep the families together. I didn't like the sight or the feeling of families being separated. At the same time, we are keeping a very powerful border, and it continues to be a zero tolerance. We have zero tolerance for people that enter our country illegally.
Under increasing political pressure, President Trump signed an executive order today that temporarily prevents the separation of families prosecuted for illegally crossing the border. The president said First Lady Melania and daughter Ivanka lobbied for the reversal of his immigration policy.
No, Ivanka feels very strongly. My wife feels very strongly about it. I feel very strongly about it. I think anybody with a heart would feel very strongly about it.
The president's zero-tolerance immigration policy, announced in May, mandated universal prosecution of adults who enter the country illegally. Under long-standing law, children cannot remain with adults being detained on criminal charges. In the face of bipartisan blowback, administration officials said for days their hands were tied.
Congress and the courts created this problem, and Congress alone can fix it.
We passed some legislation, we closed some loopholes, we won't face these terrible charges.
The Democrats have to change their law. That's their law.
Today's executive order is not a permanent solution. It allows families to be held together for 20 days. After that, they must either be deported or separated. The Trump administration says that means Congress still has to act.
We're going to see what happens.
The administration says children who have already been separated from their guardians will not be immediately reunited with their families. The president's executive order came amid pressure from normally supportive coalitions. This radio spot from the Christian conservative group Colson Center aired on 600 stations around the country.
Families should not be separated. Parents shouldn't break the law with their children. And children shouldn't be punished for their parents breaking the law.
All right, so Major, at this point, what does happen next here?
Well, there are two paths. One is legislative and one is judicial. The administration will challenge a long-standing consent decree that dates back to 1997. But if it had the ability to do that, one would think it would have already tried. That consent decree is likely to survive, and there's already legal challenges to today's executive order. The legislative fix relies on House Republicans to pass a bill this week and see if it can pass and get bipartisan support in the Senate. Jeff, to put it mildly, both the legislative and judicial paths face uncertain futures.
A lot going on here. Major Garrett, thank you.